Good morning. We are going to give just a few moments to clear the waiting room and make sure that everyone has connected to audio so that they can hear us and participate. As a reminder, when you are entering from the waiting room, please do remain on mute unless or until you are appearing or testifying before the board. Good morning. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman of the Board, Kathleen Joyce.
Thanks, Danny. Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm Chair of the Boston Licensing Board. Today, I'm also joined by Commissioner Liam Carnan and Commissioner Kiana Saxon.
Thank you very much. Please ensure that your audio and visuals are working properly. I will call each item in the order that it appears on this morning's agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the licensee, who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department, and whether there are any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify. I will then swear in all parties. After that, the police report will be read into the record, and the licensee or their representative will have the opportunity to make a brief statement, followed by questions by the chair and commissioners. Testimony will be limited only to those individuals with firsthand personal knowledge of the alleged incident. Begin with the first item on this morning's agenda, calling item number 1, Apple New England LLC, doing business as Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar, located at 11A Allstate Road in Dorchester. Date of the incident, October 17th, 2023. Patron on patron fight in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Premise allowing liquor on premise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and over-serving in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 69. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Frank Ripley, manager of record.
I'm sorry. Good morning, Attorney Green. Attorney John P. Connell from Upton, Connell, and Devlin. Good morning, Chairwoman Joyce, board members. Mr. Ripley, the manager of record, here with me for the licensee.
Thank you. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Officer Aisha Lawton.
Sergeant Timothy Denio.
Thank you, Sergeant. Is it possible to turn your camera on so that we can swear you in?
Yes, sir.
Great. We could see you for a second there. There we go. Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
Aisha Lawton.
Great. Thank you very much. You may please proceed.
Okay. About 900 hours on Tuesday, 10/17, Officer Lawton, while assigned to the 630 unit, responded to a disturbance at 11A Allstate Road, Applebee's. On arrival, Officer Lawton responded multiple times to Applebee's for multiple disturbances at the restaurant as the restaurant was offering their annual Dollarita drink special. Officer was called multiple times via the South Bay radio and dispatch calls from 911. Other units had to be requested. The suspects, who appeared to be highly intoxicated, were asked to leave the premise several times after becoming combative and argumentative with other patrons and responding officers. They were also with a victim, Amantha Balliard, that was lying on the bench in the waiting area, extremely intoxicated. She refused a medical evaluation and had to be carried out of the restaurant. The suspects left and returned several times. They also left a large bottle of Espinol tequila in the restaurant. Officer Fulham attempted to identify the suspect number 1, Bradley Prince, who stated his name was These Nuts. Officer also observed another victim, Batumu Muhammad lying on the sidewalk in front of Applebee's. Witnesses stated she had to be helped out of Applebee's and collapsed once outside. Officers attempted to speak to the victim. She was unable to answer any questions or walk. Boston EMS responded and transported her to BMC for further evaluation. It should be noted several of the patrons appeared to be extremely intoxicated. Sergeant Daniel and Sergeant Farrell responded and issued a license premise inspection notice number 043077 for patron versus patron fight, allowing liquor on premise and over serving. The suspects were taken into custody and transferred to D4 for booking in usual manner, charged with trespassing. And the victim was driven home by Officer Pinion Lawton.
Thank you, Officer Lawton. Attorney Connell, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, I don't have any questions of the officer, but I have a brief summary and then the board can inquire of Mr. Ripley. We provided the videotape, various angles of the videotape for this incident to the board. I know it was late yesterday, but we provided the video with timestamps that the board should look at. And basically what the video would show was that there are 3 patrons who are sitting at the bar at about 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And about 5 o'clock, the woman in this group started to pour alcohol from a bottle that she had snuck into the premise and started making herself drinks. And she made a few drinks for her friends as well. That's what it looks like in the video to us. Applebee's doesn't sell the branded tequila that was ultimately found and associated with this woman. But it looks like from the video, she may have poured everybody in her little 3-person group a couple of drinks. And it was about a half hour after that, that she started the self-service program, that she put her head down on the bar and her friends helped her leave. Outside, that woman who was intoxicated, but not as a result of our service, laid down on the bench, and her 2 friends started becoming combative with other people. They were asked, the police, the South Bay Police Detail was called several times to have these people removed, and several times they were removed, and several times they came back. Finally, the Boston Police was called directly, and eventually, when they came, they were able to escort these 3 people out of here. Not before, however, the 2 people that in this 3-person group confronted 2 other people that were trying to enter the restaurant, who were coming over from, I believe it was the Olive Garden, and pushed that person down. And that's the 2nd person that's referred to in this report. So those other 2 people, one of which was highly intoxicated, was trying to enter the Applebee's. I also provided just this morning, so you'll have it after this hearing, the 2 bar tabs for the 3 people in question. There are 2 bar tabs because the bartender's shift turned over, but over 2 hours, the bar tabs will show that they were served a total of 10 drinks, 3 of which were light beers, none of which were margaritas. This has nothing to do with the Dollarita promotion that this Applebee's and all the Applebee's do every year. Mr. Ripley, the manager of record, interviewed the bartender, who you will see in the video, and the bartender did not see this woman pouring from her handbag. As a result of this, which we deeply regret, the entire staff of Applebee's has been instructed on this particular issue. This has never happened to this particular licensee before, where somebody brings in a bottle of tequila and self-serves at the bar or in the restaurant. They've also initiated or gone forward with on-premise tips training, which, as you may know, is a higher degree of tips training going forward. I will point out that this licensee has operated since 2012 with no other violations in those 12 years other than a expired permit in 2013. And that's generally the background. These 3 people were an anomaly in the family style restaurant. This was late in the afternoon, early in the evening, and Mr. Ripley can answer any of your particular questions.
Thank you, Attorney Cannell. We will see if there are any questions from the board. Chairwoman Joyce, any questions?
Thank you. Mr. Ripley, do you know how long this patron was basically passed out before staff noticed?
A minute or two, I believe, I don't know exactly, but a minute or two, I would say.
Okay, do we know how long she was allowed to make her own drinks before your staff noticed?
From what I saw from the video review, there was one round of pouring basically, less than a minute. It was just she poured into a glass, and then that was the only time that she poured.
Okay, and then with this particular drink special, what is your staffing model? Do you increase the staffing, add security? Sounds like it's a very popular drink special.
Yeah, so it increased staffing levels, servers and then bartenders as well, host staff and bussers. We've increased staffing across the board when we run this promotion.
And how were they trained to detect signs of intoxication?
So as John referenced, we have our serving alcoholic beverages responsibly training program, which every employee that we hire is required to complete, and then we also recertify annually. So this incident occurred in October. Throughout the month of September, we had recertified the entire staff on that serving alcoholic beverages responsibly training program.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
I'm just not clear, when did you, the premises know that they had an outside bottle of alcohol?
So
If-
that, go ahead, John.
If I may, when the police arrived, right before they left, when the woman who passed out, she dropped the bottle or the bottle rolled onto the floor. The licensee found the bottle and in fact, initially discarded it. When the police came back, the licensee told the police about the bottle and presented the bottle to the police. It wasn't until we started preparing for this hearing that we noticed or we saw there's a lot of videotape, several hours from different angles that the woman had been pouring from the bottle at the bar.
Okay, so Attorney Cannell, in your review of the video, you've noticed that she was pouring for several hours?
No,
Okay,
they were there from the video from apparently 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. At 5 p.m., it appears to me that was the first time she poured. And it appears to me that she topped herself off and poured for the other two people. You can watch the video for yourself. That's what it looks like to me. And to boot, she brought her own mixer. It looked like she brought a blue Gatorade of some form.
okay, thank you.
What is your solution going forward for being able to catch people who are who have extra bottles in their purse? Like how are you going to be able to detect that going forward?
So we've coached the staff on increased awareness, more visibility onto their guests. It's the type of thing where in the video, when the pouring occurs, the bartender had walked down to the opposite side of the bar where he's not even in frame of the video while she's pouring the tequila into her glass. So that's something that we've coached, is that we need to be hands-on so that we are aware and in place so that we're closer to the guests and we can avoid things like this happening. Just being in the right place at the right time.
Anything further from the board? Board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 2, Sandeep Hotel LLC, doing business as Holiday Inn Express Boston, located at 69 Boston Street in Dorchester. Date of the incident, October 16th, 2023. Failure to properly display license. It had been expired in 2021 in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 140, Sections 2 and 25. Failure to cooperate with police in violation of Board's Rule 1.10A and B. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Will be Rick Kumar. I'm the general manager of this hotel.
Thank you very much. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
thought I said Detective Moriarty was present now.
Nope.
If not Detective Moriarty, Lieutenant Detective Troy.
Thank you, Lieutenant Detective Troy. Are there any other individuals with first-hand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you both please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. If you could please proceed with the police report.
Reading from report authored by Detective Moriarty, it reads as follows: at 11:15, Detective Moriarty responded to a radio call at 69 Boston Street. I'm sorry, perhaps this is the second report. I apologize, just one moment. It refers to a different incident report. And it reads, 11:15, Detective Moriarty responded to a radio call at 69 Boston Street regarding a different incident. On arrival, Detective Moriarty spoke to Anvil Geronimo, the front desk manager, who said that he was unaware of the situation, did not call, and would find the caller. While waiting, Detective Moriarty observed the innkeeper's license hanging on the wall. The license was for 2021. Detective Moriarty inquired as to where the up-to-date license was. Ms. Geronimo stated, "I'll tell the general manager." Detective Moriarty informed Ms. Geronimo that the most active license must be displayed, and it's not a matter of simply being expired as it was 2 years old. Detective Moriarty informed Ms. Geronimo that he would return with the license premise notice. Ms. Geronimo then stated the active license was in a rear office. At about 1 o'clock, Detective Moriarty returned and issued license premise notice, which Ms. Geronimo accepted. On his return, the 2021 license was still hanging in the lobby. There's an additional report here. It reads as follows, and it's from October 15, 2023. It states at 10:30, Detective Moriarty was responded to a radio call for a larceny report at the Holiday Inn Express, 69 Boston Street. On arrival, Detective Moriarty spoke to Pauline Reed, Director of Education for Modeling School of Makeup. Ms. Reed stated that her company rents a ballroom from the hotel and stores their equipment there also. On today's date, Ms. Reed found 2 trunks belonging to the school to have been broken into, and several makeup items and supplies were stolen. The trunks were damaged and the locks were removed. Also, transcripts of several students with personal information were stolen. Total value of the items was over $5,000. On discovering the trunks, Ms. Reed informed the front desk manager, Ms. Geronimo, who initially claimed not to know anything about the trunks. Ms. Geronimo stated that she would check. She then returned with a lock and 2 broken pieces of the trunk that holds the locks and several small brushes. She did not explain where she located the items. That's the extent of the incident reports.
Thank you very much. Would the licensee like to address the alleged incident?
Well, what I understand was we have all our licenses are in the back wall of the hotel, and we were doing, I think a week prior, we had some incident where we want to make sure that our licenses are being protected. And we moved everything, and I think I personally forgot we had a small copy, which we were making a copy, but we put it in the back, but we forgot to put it in the front. And, we apologized to the officer to say, okay, this is what it is. And it's right in the back. It's right behind the wall. All the licenses are displayed for fire department. We get inspected, in 3 months, we get inspected every 3 months by fire department and all that. All our licenses were there. She called me, we made a copy, and we put it in the front to make sure that it was displayed in the front also. The second incident, somebody broke into our meeting room and broke the locks, and this is where she found all the locks and everything and handed over to the police officer when the officer showed up here. And, we sincerely apologize for that. Yes, it's that we forgot to put a copy back in the front, but we had all our licenses in the back of the building, like in the back of the office, right behind that wall, which my friend has assisted to the officer if he wants to see. It's right there, which we understand. I completely understand what the officer is going through, that if it's in the front, it has to be up there. And, you know, I apologize on behalf of my hotel for that.
Thank you very much. We'll see if there are any questions from the board at this time. Chairwoman Joyce, any questions?
Yes, thank you. So when the police asked her to hang the current license and it was just in the back office, how come it was still not put in the front office when the police officers returned?
Well, I believe she called me. I didn't answer. I was off that day. I was not around, and she didn't know exactly which license needs to be pulled in the front. When she called me, and I called her back to make sure which one we are talking about, and we had it in the front after that.
Okay, let me just take a quick look. I don't have any other questions right now. Commissioner Curran and Commissioner Saxon?
No questions for me. Thank you.
None from me, thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Calling item number 3, Home Run Cafe, Inc., doing business as Home Run Cafe, located at 1269 Massachusetts Ave in Dorchester. Date of the incident, October 30th, 2023. Assault and battery, patron on security staff in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee? Do we have anybody present on behalf of Home Run Cafe? I'm just checking to make sure this was notice of the hearing was signed for. We will take a second call. Calling item number 4, Last Drop Inc., doing business as The Last Drop, located at 594A to 596 Washington Street in Brighton. Date of the incident, November 19th, 2023. Patron overserved in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
I am Douglas Bacon, owner and manager.
Thank you. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant McLaughlin's at a funeral, Lieutenant Detective Troy.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
I'm also accompanied by Sarah Chapman, who was the bartender working on the evening in question, and Dave Nassif, who had interaction with the police regarding the video from that night.
Perfect, thank you. And I do see both Ms. Chapman and Mr. Nassif on our screen, so thank you for that. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Great. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Lieutenant Detective Troy, if you could please proceed with the police report.
There's 2 reports here. And the first one, I believe, is the original incident, and it's from November 20th, 2023, and it reads as follows. About 1:41 a.m. on Monday, November 20th, 2023, Officer Bernardi and Kelly responded to a radio call for investigate persons removal at 596 Washington Street, The Last Drop, Brighton. On arrival with the patrol supervisor, Sergeant McLaughlin, officers observed a white male, black beanie, gray shirt, and jeans standing outside the above address. The dispatcher stated that the bar's manager wanted the male removed from outside after the male attempted to get back into the bar several times. Officers spoke to the male identified as Rory Sullivan, who stated that the workers still had his keys to his vehicle. Sullivan stated he kept knocking on the door to get his key back and was getting frustrated that he couldn't get them back. Officers observed Sullivan to be unsteady and could smell a scent of alcohol coming from Mr. Sullivan, who admittedly agreed that he could not drive but still wanted his key back. Officers then spoke to the manager, Sarah Chapman, who stated that Sullivan was extremely intoxicated and willingly gave his keys back to him. Chapman stated that after being told to leave for the night, Mr. Sullivan began to hit the front door with force and ended up damaging 2 wood pieces surrounding the window of the front door. Officers observed both broken panels of a red painted door. CJIS inquiry revealed that Sullivan had a warrant out of Brighton Court. Sullivan was arrested for the outstanding warrant and summoned to Brighton Court for destruction of property. Second report written by Sergeant McLaughlin on November 26 reads as follows: at 4:30 p.m. on November 26, Sergeant Frank McLaughlin, along with Officer Julie Keener, conducted a Code 35 license premise violation inspection of the Last Drop, 594 Washington Street. Establishment was issued a license premise violation for over-serving a patron. On November 19th, patron Rory Sullivan was in the Last Drop. He consumed alcohol while there and at a certain point was asked to leave. While outside, he began banging on the door to get back in. An employee of the bar called 911 to request the police. Sergeant McLaughlin responded, assisted by other officers. When Sergeant McLaughlin arrived, he observed Mr. Sullivan trying to get back into the bar. Mr. Sullivan stated that he had been in there and had the keys to his vehicle and he wanted them back. Sergeant McLaughlin spoke to the doorman, who explained that Mr. Sullivan had been in there earlier in the night and had been told to leave. He stated that he stayed outside, kicking the door and banging on the window of the door. Multiple dirt footprints could be seen on the bright red painted door. 2 of the 4 wooden stops that held the windows in place had been knocked out of place by Mr. Sullivan's continuous hitting of the window. So before Sergeant McLaughlin left the bar, he spoke to Sarah Chapman, who was behind the bar. He suggested to her that, that the bar's best interest to archive or save any video surveillance that they had. Sergeant McLaughlin informed her that there was a good chance a Code 35 violation was forthcoming. Someone in the bar also provided officers what appeared to be a key to Sullivan's vehicle, which was eventually put into Mr. Sullivan's property. Mr. Sullivan was transported to District 14 to find out he had an outstanding warrant for a similar incident in the same area. He's also charged with vandalism. While in the bar, Officer Kelleher had her body camera activated. The bartender, as well as another person sitting in the bar who stated that they had been there all night and was a bartender also, stated that Sullivan did not have much to drink that night. Sergeant McLaughlin explained to them that based on his behavior in the District 14 booking area, he consumed quite a lot of alcohol. They said that he had not much to drink in their establishment. Sergeant McLaughlin explained that while they were in the, if this were the case, they still had responsibility not to overserve them. Sergeant McLaughlin told them that he suggested that Ms. Chapman save the video from that night and might prove to be helpful for the establishment. Sergeant McLaughlin again suggested that they should take the video saved that night and might be helpful for them. That's the extent of the incident report.
Lieutenant, I just got on. This is Sergeant McLaughlin. I apologize for being late.
Thank you, Sergeant McLaughlin, for being with us. If I could just have you raise your right hand so we can swear you in for any testimony you may provide. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. Did you want to provide any additional testimony beyond what Lieutenant Troy has read?
The only thing on this, which the report I think pretty much says it, I thought that the establishment did the right thing, taking his keys and trying to get him out of there. The problem I thought was that based on what we dealt with, was observed and what and I think they have that did not show much on the card. They have a responsibility to, if they're serving someone, to make sure they didn't come in with a foreign package, if you will. But as far as the night went, I thought they did do a good job of making sure the car and right.
Great. Chairman Joyce, were you able to hear all of that?
I got the gist of it. I got the gist of it, for sure.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Bacon, Ms. Chapman, Mr. Nassif, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Sure. If I may, I just had a question for, I believe it's Sergeant McLaughlin, if I may.
Yes.
Was there any blood test or toxicology or drug tests given to this gentleman, Mr. Sullivan?
No, there was not.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is an unfortunate incident. We've subsequently learned that this gentleman is a little bit troubled and has had negative interaction in other restaurants and bars and outstanding warrants. Ms. Chapman will testify that he didn't do anything to attract attention to himself up until the time when she stopped serving him alcohol. He did go into the men's room and there was some kind of commotion, argument, confrontation with another customer. And then when they came out, the other customer immediately left and Mr. Sullivan was acting very agitated and a bit aggressive. And at that time, she decided not to serve him any more alcohol. And then after inquiring about his well-being, she said, "You're not planning to drive, are you?" And he voluntarily offered up his car keys. He went outside. He had been inside the last drop for between 2 and 3 hours. He voluntarily left when asked, and then at some point he became very agitated and started demanding his keys back. And at that point, Ms. Chapman called the police, and she's here to answer any questions you may have.
Hi.
Thank you, Ms. Chapman. Mr. Nassif, anything further you would like to provide to the board in testimony before we move to questions?
Nope, I'm good.
Then we will move to questions from the board, starting with Chairwoman Joyce. Any questions?
Do we know how much this patron drank that night here?
He had bought drinks for other patrons as well. I believe he consumed about 4 drinks on premises.
Okay, and how long was he there?
About 2 or so hours. 2 to 3 hours.
Okay, Commissioner Curran and Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
Do you have video for us?
I believe it was provided to the police.
Yes.
We didn't, I don't think we saved a copy though.
Dave, can you speak to that?
Yes, video was saved on a small drive and it was left and picked up by an officer.
Do you remember which officer?
I believe it was Detective Catone, but I'm not 100% on that, but I believe that's it.
Okay, do we know if we would get access to that? Anyone from Boston Police?
Just looking through the detective's notes here, I don't see it attached in the case management. I don't see it attached in any of the notes, but I'll make inquiries from the detective.
Thank you. My other question would be, so if he had 4 drinks, who served him his last drink? And when was that? And just describe the circumstances surrounding that.
I was the only bartender on, so I served him his last drink. He seemed not bad, and then went into the bathroom, and an argument ensued with him and his friend, who is a regular here. And then when the other friend left the bar, and the other guy got agitated and then proceeded to basically be an asshole around the pool table.
Okay, thank you.
And that's when he wasn't getting served anymore.
Thank you.
No questions from me, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further from the board?
I just want to make a comment. When you do preserve the video and you hand it to the detective, if you could keep a copy, sometimes that doesn't make it to the board and gets lost in the handling of it. So a request from the board to you as a licensee to preserve the video, hand it over to a detective.
Of course.
We will make that our standard procedure.
Thank you. And Lieutenant Troy, Sergeant McLaughlin, if that video is available, please do let us know if it can be provided to the board so that the commissioners can review it.
I will reach out to.
Thank you. We appreciate that. With that, the board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 5 will not be heard this morning. It will be rescheduled to the next available hearing date. Calling item number 6, Big Night Venues Boston 4 LLC. doing business as Scorpion Bar and Restaurant The Grand, located at 25 Northern Ave. Date of the incident, January 13th, 2023. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Green, Kristen Scanlon for the licensee, and with us as well as Charlie Kane, who's Director of Security for the licensee.
Thank you. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Absent Sergeant Popolo or the other summons officer, Lieutenant Detective Troy.
Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Thank you. Can you both please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Lieutenant Detective Troy, if you could please proceed with the police report.
Certainly. Written from a police report authored by Officer Michael Cantu. It reads as follows. On 1:46 a.m. on Saturday, January 13, 2023, Officer Cantu and Barrows responded to a radio call for an assault and battery at 58 Seaport Boulevard, Grand, South Boston. On arrival, officers were met by staff who escorted officers to the victim, Mr. John Charaban. The victim stated that he was assaulted by another man. The victim could not further elaborate on the matter due to being very intoxicated. Officers also spoke to the victim's female partner, a witness on scene, Ms. Vildemar, who stated that they were sitting at a table inside the Grand when the suspect, Elijah Allen, came over and sat at the table uninvited. The witness, Ms. Vindemal, stated that the victim told the suspect that Mr. Allen that he couldn't sit there anymore, and there was a verbal dispute. The witness stated that then the victim she then saw the victim being placed in a headlock and punched on the head by Mr. Allen. It is noted that the suspect fled from the scene prior to the officer's arrival. Officers asked the victim and witnesses if they wanted medical attention, which they declined. Sergeant Popolo arrived on the scene and issued a license premise violation. And then just reading from the detective's notes here, it reads as follows. The detective spoke to the victim, stated he sustained no injuries. He said he does not know the suspect and does not wish to pursue a complaint at this time. He was cooperative but did not want to pursue any legal action. And there was no further information on Mr. Elijah Allen. And that's the extent of the police reports.
Thank you. And just to address what appears to be a typo in the narrative and also in the agenda for today, the incident was reported in January 2024, not 2023. Attorney Scanlon, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, thank you. No questions for Boston Police at this time, but consistent with the police report, the licensee's understanding and knowledge of the incident was essentially the same as reported by the witness in the report. Prior to this incident happening, there were no issues at all with these patrons previously in the night, and either one of them were otherwise unknown to licensee and its staff. The scuffle as described in the police report happened within seconds after the uninvited guest and alleged suspect sat at the victim's table. Within seconds, as you'll see on the video, security staff responds and as per protocol, separated the parties and called 911. As Lieutenant Detective Troy did just indicate, the alleged victim had no apparent injury and declined medical attention. The licensee did identify the suspect, but the suspect left the premises prior to police arriving that evening. Mr. Kane can also testify to his knowledge and review of the incident as well at this time.
Good morning, Attorney Green and members of the board. On our internal investigation, security responded to this incident, which did not show any signs of an incident happening on the two different camera angles. Happened very quickly, and security was there within 3 or 4 seconds. 2 security officers and a barback, and then a security manager, separating both parties, bringing the victim to the Grand 3rd floor lobby, where he showed no visible signs of any injuries or over intoxication. We have that on video also. He was at the security manager, John Fothergill, and he was offered medical. Police were called by security officer manager, John Fothergill. And the alleged defendant was identified through his driver's license, which we took a photo of for the police. And he was escorted out a different door to the courtyard on Seaport Boulevard, at which time he fled before the police left. We do have all the video preserved in a file. 911 was called. I believe all policies and procedures that the license board requires were followed by our security team as well as our management. And there was no follow-up to me for any video from Boston Police at this time.
Thank you, Attorney Scanlon. Mr. Kane, we'll see if there are any questions at this time. Chairwoman Joyce?
Will you be able to provide us with the video?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I have no questions.
Commissioner Carn?
Did this incident have anything to do with like a VIP or reserved area in the club?
It was a table up in City View section of the nightclub where the victim went and sat at the table in one of the chairs. I believe is what provoked it, but I'm not 100% sure. But
Okay, so I'm sorry. Was one of these two people had a reserved area and the other one didn't? Is that what happened?
it appears that the defendant was at a table with somebody else, and the victim went into that area.
Okay, I think we've covered this before, but like, what are you doing to address these kind of friction points where, you know, you're offering someone a reserved area and then, you know, an outside party is basically invading on the space that they feel like they've been provided by you, right?
Correct, sir. We mitigate it with the best we can with multiple security layered along. We're not allowed to use stanchions in the nightclub. I don't know if you're aware of that, but we used to utilize stanchions, and then we're advised by the fire department they're illegal. Stanchions were a huge help to mitigate issues by separating these tables in areas, as you can't, you know, we put bodies up in City View. We have 3 bodies, 3 security officers plus a rover that's up there. So they're constantly right in the area within feet. That's why you'll see they're there within seconds.
Okay, any education of the, you know, the people who reserve it, do you let them know they have any issues, come, you know, talk to so-and-so, talk to their waiter, their, you know, their close by security guard, anything like that?
Yes, sir. They're advised when they come in that if there's any issue to advise their bottle service girl, which you'll see in the video. She immediately runs to get security when the incident happens. But they're advised not to take, the security officers come over to all the tables when they seat and identify themselves and introduce themselves. They'll come over and say, "Hi, my name's Charlie Kane. I'm working in this area. If you have any problem, come and get me and we'll address it. Do not address any issues on your own."
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, sir.
I'm just curious, do you guys use signs to separate the area since you can't use the stanchions?
No, we do not use signs. There's just we dedicate extra space to alleviate and to mitigate the issues since we can't use the stanchions. So we dedicate extra space, and the tables are regulated. You can only have so many people at a table, so they stay within the confines of that area.
Thank you. Anything further from the board at this time? Board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 7, Top Mix LLC, doing business as Top Mix Bar and Kitchen JP, located at 365 Center Street in Jamaica Plain. Date of the incident, February 24th, 2024. Persons under 21 in possession of alcohol on premise, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 34A, 34C, and 6464A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Joseph Correa, General Manager for owner. And Joseph Correa, owner.
How's it going? Good morning, everyone. Joseph Correa.
Thank you very much. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am Detective Hernandez.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, if need be.
Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Yep, and thank you very much. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Detective Hernandez, if you could please proceed with the police report.
Good morning. I'm going to be reading from police report, which I wrote on Saturday, February 24, 2024. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to the BPD License Premise Unit, conducted a license and premise inspection of Top Mix Bar. While walking into the dining area of the establishment, detectives noticed a table of 6 patrons that appeared to look young. 5 out of the 6 patrons had mixed alcoholic beverages in front of them. Detectives asked them to produce identification to confirm their ages. 4 out of the 5 patrons presented driver's license, which detectives confirmed is valid and over 21 years of age. The 5th patron produced a valid mass driver's license, stating she was under 21 years of age. The patron stated that the server did not ask her for identification. The patron will be summoned to the court for persons under 21 possession of alcohol. Detectives brought this to the attention of the person in charge, Mr. Joseph Correa. As a result, it should be noted that the doorman said that he did ask the group for identification and informed the suspect that she could not purchase or order an alcoholic drink. As a result of what detectives discovered, Detective Gallagher issued license and premise inspection notice 021909 for persons under 21 possessing of alcohol on premise. Mr. Correa signed for an accepted notice. That's all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Correa. Would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes. So essentially, I personally wasn't on premise. My brother Joseph was on premise. As you can see, we have the same name. Maybe a bit confusing sometimes. But to my knowledge, I believe it was a miscommunication on the behalf of the security and also the server. So essentially, the way that we have it, assigned is that the security would ensure that anyone coming in, they have an idea if they do want to consume alcohol, and if they don't, he would communicate with the server in regards to, an individual not being able to consume alcohol. To my understanding, there was just, a miscommunication. I'm not sure if he forgot or if the server may have miscommunicated, but that's the way we do it. We tried to attack it at the door. I guess subsequent to the event, we've learned, and we're actually putting the burden back on the server. So if you come into our establishment now, at the table level, the server is now asking for the identification, just to ensure that something as this never happens again.
Thank you very much. Anything that the other Mr. Correa would like to add before we move to questions from the board?
Not at this time.
Thank you. We'll see if there are any questions. Chairwoman Joyce.
So let me just make sure I understand this. Your old policy was that the doorman would card people as they came in and then would be responsible for walking up and finding their server and then telling the server, remember this person, they can't drink.
So it's essentially the host. So the host seats the table and lets the server know, essentially, hey, we have a table for 6. This person, if they're wearing, I don't know, a yellow cardigan, hey, this person with the yellow cardigan, she's under 21. She can't consume alcohol. And that's the way we kind of communicated, just and we've been open for several years and we've never had a problem. But besides this, obviously, and just, I guess, for the record, the person who did have alcohol, she was turning 21 a month later. I think it was 29 days later. Again, not to say that she's supposed to consume alcohol regardless, but just for context, I guess.
Close is not close enough, but thanks.
Right. Absolutely, just context.
Focusing back on your security and operations policy now, can you explain to me one more time?
So essentially, the guests would come in, we'd sit them at a table, and then if they do want to consume alcohol, the server would ask them, hey, do you have an ID? And then, go and, upon the process of checking everyone's ID. And if
So they'll be
they,
checked twice or just once at the table?
currently we're doing it once just to eliminate any, I guess, frustration on the product. I guess I've never been to a restaurant where you're carded twice. So we initially tried to do it at the door just to, because there's been in the past that I've noticed maybe, some servers don't ask everyone, and it was a bit frustrating. So I said, hey, I want to mitigate this risk. I want to, kind of, resolve it at the door. So now we know that there's one person who's responsible for checking everyone. Hey, regardless of your age, I don't, if you have gray hairs, whatever the case may be, we are checking your ID. So that's the way we've done it for the past, I want to say, several years, and we've never had a problem. But seeing that obviously this communication error in regards to, I guess, the security and the host and the server, we're kind of shifting the burden back onto the server, because that's the person who has firsthand knowledge and the person who's actually serving the drinks. So now we're just, sitting people down and checking at the table. And this seems to be the common practice within every restaurant that I go to nowadays, that, we're not really carded on the, I guess, at the door, unless it's maybe a nightclub. But we're sat down, and then if we do consume alcohol, the person who is asking for the alcohol is carded. So we've leaned towards that as being potentially, the best option currently.
Okay, and what kind of training do you give your servers about looking for fake IDs?
Sure. So tip certification. So essentially the tips would kind of describe everything in regards to even overconsumption, how much a patron could have within an hour, how to spot, fake ID. It's not very, and if you're taking the course, it's not very intensive, I guess, but it'll kind of show you clues to be able to identify certain things in regards to inconsistencies. But as you know, I'm sure that, nowadays it's with technology, maybe a little bit difficult to, unless you have a, super trained eye and you're doing this all the time, potentially, but we, again, we try our best. We've never had any problems at all. And this is, in regards to no fights, no altercations, nothing. And unfortunately, this is the only thing that we've, bump in the road where, a drink was in front of a patron who wasn't 21 and, should turn in 21 a month later. So now this patron can come in and drink with us, which is, ironic, but.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. Commissioner Curran and Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
I guess maybe just in the way of, things we've seen in the past. This is a, set, I don't know what the atmosphere is in general, but the general thing we've seen, this is a Saturday night, late in the evening. You've identified that you have a mixed group. You might want to consider something like a wristband system for, Friday, the weekend, late at night, mixed group. So that this eliminates the confusion that may kind of build, if someone's there, a group is there for an hour, 2 hours, something like that. So I would just advise you to weigh whether that might work for you.
Okay. Yeah, we've considered several things, even like stamps and stuff. But again, I want to say we're more like a restaurant. So I just, I've always found it strange. I've never been to a restaurant where they, kind of provided people with wristbands. We're not a nightclub per se. So, obviously that's something that we try to outweigh kind of the pros and cons. But again, I guess with the industry of just kind of restaurants and stuff, I've never seen it personally, which is, a reason we decided not to do like even stamps and stuff like that. Because now you have to see if, hey, did the person wash off the stamp? They go to the bathroom or, but definitely I appreciate the input.
Yeah, I was actually literally going to make the same comment. If you're serving alcohol, you want to be able to make sure that you're not serving to a minor. So we're just merely trying to provide you suggestions on how to prevent your establishment from serving to a minor.
Thank you. Any further questions from the board at this time? Board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 8, Boston Restaurant Bar and Grills LLC, located at 1263 River Street in Hyde Park. Date of the incident, February 25th, 2024. Premise operating after posted 12 a.m. close in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
I'm here. I'm Joseph, agent of record. I'm with the manager, Maggie.
Good morning.
Morning. Thank you for being with us. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher.
Detective Hernandez if needed.
Thank you. And are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Now, please raise your right hand. Do you, Mr. Joseph, thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Sergeant Detective Gallagher, if you could please proceed with the police report.
Yes, on 2/25/24 at 12:30 a.m. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to licensed premise unit, conducted a licensed premise inspection for the Boston Restaurant and Grill at 1263 River Street. Inside the premise at 12:30, detectives observed patrons being served alcohol from the bar. In addition, a DJ was set up and performing. Detectives observed the premises posted closing hour to be 12 midnight, with all persons off premise by 12:30. There were approximately 20 patrons while detectives were conducting their inspection. Detectives sought out the manager, Miss Maggie Delburn. Detectives informed Miss Delburn that the posted closing hour, according to the common victuals license, was midnight. In addition, detectives were unable to locate a current one-timer for DJ. Boston Restaurant's current entertainment license does not authorize DJ as an approved form of entertainment. Ms. Dahlburn stated that she believed she had applied for a license. As a result, what was observed, Sergeant Gallagher issued a license premise inspection notice number 021910, Boston Restaurant Grill for premise operating after posted 12 a.m. closing, in no one-time live entertainment license for DJ. Ms. Dahlburn signed for and accepted the notice. Those are the facts.
Thank you very much. Mr. Joseph, Ms. Dahlburn, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, Maggie, go ahead.
Okay. On the 25th of February, the officers were present at our restaurant. I had sent out the email, I believe, to Rebecca that I did inquire for the one-time license, and I had paid for several one-time license, and I guess it was a date error on my behalf. I can forward that signed copy from the captain of the A18 district, the police station right across from our premises, that I did apply for it. I had applied for from February 2nd till the end of March. So that application was signed off on, and unfortunately, and I had paid for several one-time license. So I have all those, I guess it was a mistake on the date as to what I have paid for and what was issued to us and what was signed. But according to the signed application, the application was signed from February 2nd till end of March. So we have all that, and ever since then, we have not having any issue. We have been on top. I personally have been on top of everything. I've personally had to make sure that there's no patron left in the building, because I was under the impression that it was midnight and 12:30 that everybody has to leave. So I had stepped away. I did not even realize that our bar was still, and I had told my bartender, you know what, we have to shut at 12 and everybody has to leave by 12:30. So I guess as the officers were working in, that's that's when they noticed that. But I did not notice that because I was in the dining room assuring that everybody was heading out. So it was unfortunately that took place, but that had never happened ever since. And I've been, communicating with Rebecca and Awilda as well, and we've been on top of everything. So being new in the in the area and everything, so it's been much better, because at that time we had a different since February we had a different patron clientele. Now our clientels know that by midnight they have to wrap things up and they have to leave our premises by 12:30.
Okay, it sounds like people were still being served when the officers walked in. So I know you're a new operator there. I had a discussion with the police captain about your application for the entertainment, and he specifically said to me he was not approving all of them because you were a new operator and he was going to communicate that with you. So that being said, you know, ignorance of the law and not understanding is really not a defense. I know you're trying to get up on your feet and we're going to work with you, but thinking that you had a 12 o'clock license and everyone had to be out by 12:30 is not acceptable. You really have to understand the rules and regulations of the board. We'll
I
work with
completely
you on that.
agree,
And I know you're looking for an extension of hours and we'll work with you on that as well, but you have to take your responsibility very seriously as an operator. If you have any questions, call us. If you were confused about your one-day license, call us. That being said, your one-day license has to be posted conspicuously.
Yes, that has taken place ever since. I
Okay.
mean, that was a one-time error, that had never taken place again. I mean, it's been, we've been on top of everything. I have been in touch with Rebecca and, Arilda,
Yep.
and to make sure that we're on top of things. And if we can't get a one-day license, we cancel whatever or postpone whatever program.
I'm
we
not,
have
I'm
to
not
have.
saying you can't, but I think the police captain said he communicated that he didn't want you to apply for 30 at one time. He wanted to move slowly to see how you built a track record. So you just want to make sure you're understanding what your responsibilities are. You know, as a manager and operator and as an owner, we're trying to work with you.
Definitely,
I
definitely.
did have, he actually called me about this one, so I vividly remember the conversation.
Yeah.
So I don't have any other questions. Commissioner Curran and Commissioner Saxon.
I have no questions. Thank you.
No questions from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this under advisement as well. Calling item number 9, Shamrock Boston LLC, doing business as Shamrock Pub, located at 501 East 8th Street in South Boston. Date of the incident, March 14th, 2024. Persons under 21 in possession of alcohol inside premise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Sections 34A, 34C, and 6464A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
I am John Lyden.
Thank you. And are these other individuals who will be testifying in this matter with you?
Yeah, so present with me are the members of the bar and wait staff that were on, that were working at the time of the incident. Aaron Daly, Haley Fensky, and Adam Carino.
Thank you. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Should be Detective Fernandez and Sergeant Gallagher. I can read it if Eddie doesn't have it up.
I got it, Detective Hernandez, sure.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
It will be, sir.
Thank you.
On Thursday, I'm reading from a police report, which I wrote on Thursday, March 14th, 2024, Shine Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez assigned to the BPD license permission and conducted a license inspection of the Shamrock Pub. As detectives walked into the establishment, they observed a patron drinking an alcoholic beverage. Detectives noticed this patron looked young, and detectives asked him to produce identification to confirm his age. The patron immediately stated he was under 21 years of age and provided detectives with his driver's license. The valid Mass driver's license provided by the patron stated that his date of birth was 1/21/2005. After further questioning, he also provided the fraudulent Rhode Island driver's license he had used to purchase the beer. The fraudulent Rhode Island driver's license had a date of birth of 7/21/2001. The fraudulent driver's license was confiscated by detectives. So the suspect was summoned to court for person under 21 possession of alcohol and false misuse of an R&B document. Detectives brought this to the attention of the person in charge, Ms. Aaron Daly. As a result of what detectives observed, Shine Detective Gallagher issued license premises inspection notice 018042 for persons under 21 years old and possession of alcohol on premise. Miss Daly, signed for an accepted notice. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Lyden. The other representatives of the licensee, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, please. Madam Chairman, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to speak on this matter. We substantially agree with Detective Hernandez's description of the event. I just would like to provide a little context if that's appropriate. The Shamrock Pub is a small neighborhood bar. It's got a capacity of 99, and that particular night was a Thursday. There was about 30 people in the bar. That was Thursday, March 14th, which was the weekend prior to St. Patrick's Day. I'm just gonna read what I've written. The individual in question that was recognized to be underage was on the premises only minutes prior, thankfully, to Detective Gallagher and Hernandez's arrival, and left, I would say, 5 or 10 minutes after the conclusion of their interaction with the detective. So their entire duration was no more than 15 or 20 minutes. The individual that was underage, thankfully, again, due to the detective's presence, did not have an opportunity to drink more than 1 or 2 sips of the pint of Guinness that he was provided, if any. The individual was critically observed from the moment he walked in on the premises. He was ID'd within 60 seconds by Ms. Fensky. He was ID'd again by Adam Carrito at the bar. He was ID'd twice, both times producing the fake ID, which was from Rhode Island and confiscated by the police. So I haven't had an opportunity to look at it myself, but I'm told it's very good. It's a very good ID. We typically utilize scanners. We have a scanner here. That particular night, because it was St. Patrick's Day, we had upgraded our scanners in anticipation of that busy weekend. We ordered additional scanners, upgraded the software, and we did not have scanners that night. But again, it was not a very busy night. It was actually unusually quiet. So unfortunately, it was a confluence of circumstance, our own fault, but we didn't have scanners on premises at that time. All members of the staff, as a requirement of employment, are TIPS certified. We audit that on a quarterly basis. And I think that is all the context that I can provide, except for one last thing is I would like the board to know how disappointed I am in the situation. We've operated this bar for 2.5 years with no blemish whatsoever. We have another bar under construction, anticipate opening, and we take it extremely seriously. And I apologize.
Thank you very much. We will, anything further from the licensee before we move to questions? Okay. With that, Chairwoman Joyce, any questions?
So just to make sure I understand your testimony today, your staff accepted the fraudulent Rhode Island license. Was he ID'd by your staff?
Yes, Ms. Fensky can speak to that if she'd like, but she was ID'd within 60 seconds of walking in the premises.
Yeah, he provided his what looked to me valid, a Rhode Island license. It said he was he was born in 2001, which is the first thing he checked was the date, and then he was also double checked again when he went to the bar to order a drink.
Okay. And what do you guys accept for, I mean, it's South Boston, what do you accept for backup ID if someone appears young? Because scanners don't even necessarily detect a fraudulent license. None of this stuff is 100%. So I'm curious, running a establishment in South Boston with kids that are under 21, you know, right out of college, St. Patrick's Day weekend. What do you accept for out-of-state ID as backup?
I can speak to that. So what we accept for out-of-state ID as backup would be another form of photo identification that corroborates the state ID. We also reserve the right to deny service just simply on the basis of an out-of-state ID. However, we don't typically have that. It's not typically something we need to do because we're such a neighborhood establishment. I would say that our staff is familiar with at least 50% of our customer base on a daily basis.
Yeah, I just really urge you, caution you, you can't rely on scanners. And if you are accepting out-of-state ID, to make sure you're asking for a backup photo ID. I mean, the burden's on you as an operator, but you can't, whether you had your scanner there or not that night, it doesn't mean it would have picked up on the fake ID.
No, of course.
Commissioner Curran and Commissioner Saxon?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will return to a second call on item number 3 to see if anybody has joined us on behalf of Home Run Cafe.
Hello.
Yes,
Yes,
hello?
it's me, Hector.
Hector,
Hello.
thank you for joining us. Hector, are you calling from a device where you can turn your camera on?
Oh,
No, I'm on a conference call with him.
Okay,
It's a regular phone without the video.
Okay, let me read the item back into the record. We will ask you to identify yourself. And Chairwoman Joyce, are you comfortable with, for the purpose of swearing in, having him confirm that he?
Yes, you can just confirm it.
Thank you. All right, calling item number 3, Home Run Cafe, Inc., doing business as Home Run Cafe, located at 1269 Massachusetts Ave in Dorchester, date of the incident October 30th, 2023. Assault and battery, patron on security staff in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Hector, it's me, Hector Guerrero.
Hector Guerrero, thank you very much. Is there anybody else with you on the phone, Mr. Guerrero?
Yes, it's Pedro Hernandez.
Sorry, could you identify yourself one more time?
Yes, Pedro Hernandez.
Pedro Hernandez?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Detective Paul Donlin.
Thank you, Sergeant Detective.
Christopher LeGrand.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Great. Can you all please raise your right hand? Mr. Guerrero, Mr. Hernandez, can you please confirm that you are raising your right hand?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Sergeant Detective Donlin, will you be reading the police report into the record?
Sure, I could read it. Police Officer LeGrand wrote it. If he wants to read his own report, then that'd be fine.
Yeah,
Either way.
I can read the report. That's fine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. About 1:20 a.m. on Monday, October 30th, 2023, Officers LeGrand and Kelly in the Fox 112 Alpha responded to a radio call for a disturbance at Home Run Cafe located at 1269 Massachusetts Ave, Boston, MA. Also assisting on scene was the Fox 411 Alpha, Martin, Fox 499 Sepulveda, and Fox 982 Sergeant Detective Donald. Upon arrival, officers met with the caller, later identified as the suspect, Elias Hernandez. The suspect, Hernandez, stated that he was sprayed by security staff at the Home Run Cafe. The suspect stated that he was inside the establishment and was told to leave by security staff. The suspect stated that security staff then grabbed him and physically pushed him out of the establishment. The suspect stated that the security guard sprayed him with OC. EMS arrived on scene, ambulance A06, and evaluated the suspect. The suspect denied further medical treatment. Officers spoke with the head of security, Rafael Ramos. Mr. Ramos stated that the suspect was already drunk prior to arrival. Ramos stated that he ordered a few drinks at the bar. Ramos stated that the suspect was so intoxicated that they denied him further drinks. Ramos stated that the suspect then got aggressive with staff and was asked to leave, however, he refused. Ramos stated that the suspect started, quote, swinging on security staff. Security had to physically escort him outside. Ramos stated that while outside, the suspect attempted to physically assault security again, which is when he was sprayed with OC. Officers spoke with staff member Madeline Rodriguez, who confirmed that the suspect assaulted staff members and refused to leave. It should be noted that the suspect was previously involved in an incident where he vandalized a window at the establishment. All staff denied any injuries and refused to be evaluated by EMS.
Great, thank you very much. Mr. Guerrero, Mr. Hernandez, would you like to address the alleged incident?
What the officer said is most of the story that I was told.
Okay, do you have anything to add before we move to questions from the board?
No, sir.
Okay, then we will move to questions. Chairwoman Joyce, any questions for the Boston Police or for the licensee?
Questions to the licensee. The police report states that this person, when he arrived, he had already appeared to be drunk. What, do you have a doorman?
Yeah, we do got a doorman. The officers that are at the door, they know that if people are intoxicated already, they should be denied access to go in. Usually around that time, a lot of people start leaving, so we don't know if like he went in without officers noticed it, or you know if what exactly what was going on. But usually at that time, the patrons are leaving to go home. So we don't know if you know I don't know because I wasn't there, but we don't know if he just went in or somebody let him in. I don't know.
Are you the only one here on the call, on the hearing from your
Yeah,
establishment?
No,
No,
me, Hector.
Hector's here too. He's on the phone.
Okay. So it sounds, it's hard
He
to,
just don't speak. He just don't speak a lot of English.
it's hard to hear you, but it
Yeah.
sounds like what you're trying to say is that you do have a security guard, and at that time of night, people are exiting at the same time people are coming in late. Is that true?
No, people are exiting. That's why I was saying that at that time people are leaving because that's the time that they usually start to leave from the establishment.
Okay, but it says here that head of security, Rafael Ramos, stated that the suspect was already drunk prior to arrival. That's what I'm trying to get at. The door staff is supposed to be looking for signs of intoxication as patrons as they enter. If someone is already drunk before they're entering, what is the security staff's policy there?
Well, they're not supposed. If they're already drunk, they're not supposed to let them in at all because they're already intoxicated. They're not supposed to let them in at all.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at. How the door was working that night, that someone that you're stating in the police report was already drunk, why he was allowed to get inside.
Yeah, I don't know why he was if he was allowed inside. Like I said, I wasn't there. I don't know why he was allowed inside, but he definitely shouldn't be inside. They know they're supposed to check ID, and if they know that somebody's intoxicated, they're supposed to get free service and not let them in at all.
Okay, that's helpful. Does Rafael Ramos still work there?
Unfortunately, he passed away.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Commissioner Curran, Commissioner Saxon?
I have a question for Officer LeGrand, I believe, and how did you learn that the suspect had a previous incident at this premises?
So we were made aware of that by the staff member there. There were a couple of staff members that stated that the suspect was a regular there, and I believe that it happened a couple months prior to the incident that we were called to, where he vandalized a window there.
Okay, follow-up question for someone from the premises. If this person had this incident but was still a regular, can you discuss what goes into, whether he was being let back in or should he have been banned?
Well, he definitely should have been banned. Where we can plan for the future. If individuals are constantly acting up, not doing what they're supposed to be doing when they enter this premises, we will let them know that they're not supposed to, they can't come in and advise them of that, and also let the staff know, like, hey, this person right here is no longer we no longer want this person in this establishment. That way we can avoid problems in the future.
Okay, so what happened with this individual between the first incident and the second? Did you weigh banning him and decide not to? Did you think you had banned him and he got through? What happened?
Honestly, I think at this point, it was just a miscommunication. The staff probably didn't know, like, that person was supposed to be not supposed to go there since he had prior problems. That's something that we want to definitely address and make sure that all staff members, everybody that works in the establishment knows, like, who's not supposed to be in the establishment and who is supposed to be. That way we can avoid this. So I think it was a miscommunication within staff.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
I would encourage you guys to do some investigation, like, after there are incidences, interview your staff, try to figure out what really happened. It seems like there's a lot of guessing here. The testimony doesn't seem to
Okay.
be very sure about, why he was let back in, or whether someone had examined whether he was intoxicated when he first came in through the door. So after there are incidences that happen at your establishment, make sure you interview. Everyone has fresh memories, write everything down, and then learn from those incidences so that mistakes like this don't happen again.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I totally agree. We'll definitely do that going forward, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions from the board at this time? Thank you. The board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you all. Those are all the items before the board this morning that will adjourn this hearing. The board will vote Thursday morning at 10 a.m. to vote. Notice has been posted to the city's website. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.